Very quickly, I'll say first, sometimes when we praise, the answer is shut up, you don't need to say anything, just watch. We praise more often because we need to say it than because the kid needs to hear it. Praise is not encouragement. Praise is judgment. Praise is saying, you have pleased me, and I'm going to give you a verbal doggy biscuit for doing that. And silence is often better than that. A second response might be simply to describe what it is you see. Here's when my daughter was drawing when she was quite young, I might say something like, "Oh, there's toes on those animals you drew." I wouldn't say, "Ooh, I like how well you draw, even the toes. You're so good with detail." It's just sickening the way we just marinate kids in this evaluation that's completely gratuitous. But if we simply say, "Here's what I noticed," it helps pull her attention into what she's done so she can reflect on what she did and why she did it and whether she wants to do it again. And we might accompany that finally with a question like, how did you figure out how to draw toes? Or in a very different circumstance, why did you decide to share your brownie with Diane? Because I know you love brownies a lot. That's very different from, I like the way you're such a good sharer. When you praise kids, you make them dependent on an adult evaluation. And I know some grown-ups in our society, disproportionately women, who are still dependent on another outside powerful person for approval. And that's not the way I want my daughter or my son to grow up. So I'm going to offer them support and guidance and unconditional acceptance. And I'm going to point things out occasionally, and I'm going to ask them questions, all of which is a way of working with them rather than giving them a patronizing pat on the head when they've jumped through my hoops.
Yeah, and I like how just as with the talk less, ask more, modeling respect and the way treating your children the way you would want them to treat other people, either presently or as they mature, how that approach to how you give attention is actually modeling curiosity and engagement, which again has huge implications for the success of adult relationships as well as that with your child.
Yes, that's right. But the key here is not to just get caught up on the script. What exactly am I supposed to say when my kid does X? That's a blind, that's a cul-de-sac, a dead end. The important stuff is the broader stuff. It's not what one says exactly. It's why we're trying to move away from not only praise and unnecessary judgment, but rewards, conditional acceptance, doing to, and ultimately, and this I think will be my conclusion here, is that it's really about what we're looking for in the long run, which is what we started. It's not just about finding another technique that's a little, is time out better than spanking kids? Sure. And for that matter, spanking them is better than shooting them, but that's not much of an argument for spanking. The real question is not how we're going to fine-tune the techniques we're using, but to ask what we're looking for as a goal. If the goal is still to control your child and get compliance, you're not really making much progress just because you're doing it with sugar-coated control.